Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, all right?
Hey.
You enjoyed today? Yeah. Good. Thank you very much for coming and supporting the show. We really appreciate it. For those that have been to our shows before, you will notice that the whole education zone is something new for us. We haven't done that as we have done this year. We wanted to add that element to the show, and so we booked the extra space, put a stage in Trinity. We've been doing all the lessons. Anyone had any lessons with Trinity? Oh, good. Good to know where the project goes. But in addition to that, with those fine lessons that you've missed, we've got a stage in there, and we were talking to people about who do we get in to headline our education zone. And without exception, there was only one name that people get coming back to us with, and that is Mike Johnston, and that's because he is really the world's finest educator. His website, to make sure I get this right, mikeslessons.com. Who subscribes, who knows of it? Excellent. If you don't, you need to. If you want to improve, this is the man who will improve your drumming. So please give a big London Drum Show welcome to Mr. Mike Johnston.
The most important thing that I can do here today is inspire you and make you understand that every single note that I play is totally achievable by you, without a doubt. It's not like a flashy drummer just saying, you can do that. No, you really can. I'll be happy to show you how to do it downstairs at my office at 3 o'clock. So, today, when I'm playing, I want you to recognize where I am on your journey. Where am I on your timeline? You know, I'm gonna give you the speech. This is the day you start, and this is Buddy Rich, and we're all in between. So wherever I am on your timeline, look at that today, and when you see Franklin, and when you saw Peter earlier, or maybe you saw Anika earlier, think about where that is on your timeline, and think about where that is in accordance to where you want to go with your drumming. Never get discouraged when you see things that are further than you, because no one on this stage, or on that stage, or downstairs, no one in this building is better than you. I promise you that. All they are is further along the timeline than you. So when you see it, don't get jealous, don't get upset, get excited. They are your future. That's where you will be if you keep practicing. And when you see somebody that's quote unquote not as good as you, they're not worse than you, they're earlier than you. And when you see them, help them, because they are earlier than you, but they are exactly where you used to be. All right, sound good? Yeah.
This is Mike Johnston's laptop, and this is a sound check to make sure that the tracks will play properly through the PA system. So if you can hear me, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. Sweet chicken gumbo.
Maybe it's normal for you. Maybe you live here and you just think like, it's a London Drum Show, we do it every year. It's a big deal, this whole thing in America. People where I live are like, dude, you're playing the London Drum Show. I'm like, I know. I'm gonna go up on Peter Erskine's kit before he plays, I'm gonna rub it. Good luck. You know, I mean, it's amazing. These drum shows, these festivals, I used to attend them. Well, I still attend them. And what's really cool is it's like taking, you know, Drummer Magazine or Rhythm Magazine, and you just shake the magazine, and everybody just falls out of it, and they're like, oh, now I'm here. And you guys are walking around like, I'm pretty sure that's Karl Brazil. I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure that's Anika. And they're all here, and you can just talk to them, and it's a great thing. So before I get to the teaching, which I want to do, it's my favorite thing to do, I want to think about who the star is. Who's the star of the London Drum Show? It might be easy to think it's your favorite drummer, whoever you really came to see, but that's not the star. It's not even close to the star. The star of the London Drum Show is this. It's the drum set. It's the one thing that binds all of us together. It doesn't matter about religion, it doesn't matter about race, it doesn't matter about age, it doesn't matter about anything. Whatever you hold as your core value, everything is eliminated because of this instrument. I think it's really neat that we could have all the differences in the world in personal beliefs, but as long as you played this instrument, we could go to dinner tonight and we'd do just fine. That's a pretty amazing thing. So give it up for the drum set. Okay. Enough California hippie crap. Let's teach. There we go. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys today about something that I get asked about all the time, which is how do I know when it's time to move on? How do I know when I'm done practicing something? And that's tough because you have to think like, how well do you have it down? When you play this groove, you have freedom of thought. This is probably one of the first grooves you learned. And as you can see, I can speak to you freely. I can think about how shockingly cold it was right before I got up here, and now I'm fairly certain I'm sitting in a sauna. So, to me, when I have to practice something new, that's one of the first things I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, do I feel that way when I'm playing? So the first thing is the relaxation. How do you feel when you play something that you're working on? Now, if you're all stiff, you know, let's say you're working on your paradiddle groove, and it feels like this. Ready to move on, I would run into your room, and I would hold your arms down and say, you're not going anywhere. You are not ready to move on. That sounded horrible. I mean, then I would give you compliments and build your self-esteem back up. But I would tell you, to be honest, that was not good, Billy. You don't get to leave just now. And so you need to get this, which by the way isn't bad, it's early. That's exactly how I sounded when I started doing this. You need to get it to this point. So it has to become this, where we can freely speak. I can think, maybe that's too loud for this room. And then I can think again and be like, no it's not. There we go. And that's one of the first steps of knowing, are you ready to move on or not? Does it feel like the first groove you ever learned? Do your shoulders drop down and you think about things and you have the freedom of thought? That's this first step. The next step, could you be the audio example for whatever book it came out of? So what I mean is, when I was learning Future Sounds, David Garibaldi's book, I thought I learned it really well. So I took it to him. I was 15 years old. My mom scheduled me a lesson in San Francisco, California. I'm going to meet the great David Garibaldi, and I showed him how amazing I was at Future Sounds. And the disappointment on his face, like I can see it right now. Like this coated drum head just became David Garibaldi's face. He's just like, damn, that's horrible. So he was like, did you pay attention to the accents and the ghost notes? And I was like, no, they get in the way. They make it way much harder. I don't want to. You know, you wasted your time time with those little things. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of all this book is about. And I was like, oh. And then like my drum lesson that cost a lot of money lasted maybe 10 minutes. It was time to drive home, 2 hours back to Sacramento, California, and think about what I had just done, you know, and I had to start from scratch. So I wasn't able to be the audio example for his book. So that's my thought is, are you ready? If I said the paradiddle groove, could you become the audio example that comes with the book? Could you go into a studio and say, okay, yeah, producer, go ahead. 3, 4. That's a wrap. Like, and if not, if you went 3, 4. Hold on, no, I know this one. Like, it's like, get out, go practice, Billy. Okay, so 2 steps. First step, do you feel free? Are you relaxed when you play? Second step, could you become the audio example of that rhythm right now? Could you go into the studio and record it and tell the rest of the world this is the way to play it? Third step, how far down the rabbit hole have you gone? How far have you explored this thing? I don't think people explore things enough. They don't move things around the drum set enough. They don't hit specific accents enough. They just play what was there. So let's say it's, I'm gonna learn the John Bonham, you know, kick right, left triplet, okay? And they learn it like this. I'm done. No, you're not, Billy. Stop. You gotta go further down the rabbit hole. So let me show you what I would think about if it was 3 notes. How deep down the rabbit hole I would go with 3 notes. It's kick right, left, okay? So first step, pattern. I would get that down until I didn't have to think about it. That's the pattern. Next step, my dynamics. What does it sound like if I bring the right hand fader up and the left hand fader down? It's a very different sound. Now I'm going to bring the left fader up and the right hand fader down. So now those 3 notes have become 3 sonic options. Then maybe I would try 2 ghost notes and 2 accents. Orchestration, and I would move it around the drum set, and I would cross my hands over and do everything I could so that I really, really internalized 3 notes. And if I can do that with 3 notes, you guys can go back in time, take the things you already know, and learn them better than you've ever learned them. Let me show you what I can do with 3. Well, that sounded a little cocky. Let me show you what I can do with 3 notes. Let me show you me exploring 3 notes. Terrible. I apologize. So if I can fly from America to London and cause a room full of drummers to clap for 3 notes, maybe you could go back in time and practice some of the stuff that you've been working on a little bit further. And that's what I want you to get out of this. Don't go home and think like, I've got to learn the new Patty Flaffa, Farrah, Flumbadiddle, Smickle, Flipple. You don't. You can, I don't mind. I mean, I know my hybrid roots, my cheese, chutta, chutta, fly, my daps. But maybe you could take 3 notes and learn them better than you've ever learned anything in your life. Maybe you could take the fill that you've played 1,000,000 times and you're sick of it, and you could find 20 new ways to play it by changing the subdivision. Go deeper down the rabbit hole. So first thing, play something until you don't have to think about it. Second, play it until you feel that you can become the audio example of how the rest of the world should play. And third, go down the rabbit hole. Explore every possible option. Sound like a plan? Yeah. Fantastic. I'm going to play a track for you. This is from a new project that I just started between myself and a New York-based piano player. It's the first project I've ever done where the drums were the focal point of the writing process. So the drums came first. I sent the drums to the piano player, and then he created a track around it. And so this is the first track that we've created together. We have 3 more, and then probably around this time next year, we'll be going into a studio to record an album. So the piano player's name is Dave McKay. He's in the Dave McKay group with JP Bouvet, and so we have a new duo together. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much. By the way, earlier I said the star of the show is the drum set. And that was a little wrong. What I meant is the star of the show is my Gretsch drum set with vinyl cymbals. Accordion heads and fader drumsticks. That's the star of the show. So if you see her walking around, just give her a little smack on the tush and say, great job. Okay. This is the time where you get to ask questions. This is also the time that I am on a drum set and you get to ask questions. So please don't find me in the restroom and be like, how did you develop your bass drum technique? I'll be like, dog, I don't have a pedal in here. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll do a couple questions. Yes, sir?
Where did you come up with the group?
Kyle?
Yeah.
I've never met you in person.
I know.
You're one of my longtime online students. Dude, come give me a hug. Yeah, what's your question, man?
Where did you start with the groove for that track? Like, what, was it just kind of improvising? Or?
Yeah, great question. Where did the groove for that track come from? So it was a new style of writing for me, for sure. I knew I wanted to do this project with Dave, and I said, you know, how would you like to do it? And he said, well, how about this? Why don't you just play drum set to a click for like 5 minutes? Don't think of anything other than just playing drum set, and send it to me, and I'll find something in it. So I was doing a bunch of, you know, my crap for 5 minutes, and he just found this little chunk in there that was based off of a grouping of 3 and a grouping of 5, which was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then everything else was improvised. So slowed down, it was this. So it just started with like this little tiny chunk of 3 seconds of drumming that he found in 5 minutes that he felt he could write something to. So when he sent me the first demo, it already had that little loop in there. And then the worst part was me going like, there's no way that's me. Like I didn't understand. It was like bing 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 bong chicka digga digga bong ding digga bong digga 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 bing 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 dong chicka digga digga bong. I was like, what the hell, Johnston? Come on now. And I was like, biggy bong bong, the bang shifty taka ting. It was rough. It took me a while to like reverse engineer whatever old Johnston did late at night, all hopped up on green tea. So, all right, I have time for 2 more quick questions. Yes, sir.
Your drum, bass drum technique, because I did see great also playing DA boots.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! So yeah, what did you work on to get?
Great question. Yeah, and thanks for not waiting until we were in the restroom together. It's always awkward. So my bass drum technique, the first thing that needs to be dispelled would definitely be, like he said, footwear. I've seen Ricky Lawson, I've seen Todd Zuckerman in cowboy boots, and you know, I remember somebody asked the same question, like, what kind of shoes do you wear? Your bass drum is so fast, and it was in a clinic, and he put his leg up on the floor time, he's like, I am wearing cowboy boots. Go practice. And then he pressed play on the next track, and I was like, attaboy, Zuckerman, get him. So yeah, the footwear doesn't matter. I think what does matter is your comfort level. I can't play drum set in uncomfortable shoes because I'm uncomfortable, but it's not slowing my bass drum down. The next thing would be the pedal. This pedal this is from a rental company in the UK, so every drummer that's ever rented a drum set has played this pedal. It's been around. Like when I first saw it yesterday, it was like, rinker, rinker. And I was like, yeah. Because then nobody's gonna be like, well, if I had a DW9000, it's like, no, you'd still be just as slow, you'd just be a little bit broker. Like, you gotta practice. I can't get you out of the practice, guys. There's nothing I can do to stop that. So it's not the pedal, it's not your shoe. It can be the technique, you know, like when you guys see Jojo Mayer do the heel toe, it's like, wow, that's a very efficient way to play drum set. For me, it's heel up, and my technique wasn't heel up or heel down. My technique was desired result. What is my desired result? My desired result was to play One by Metallica with 1 foot, using the floor tom. I can't do it just like, using the floor tom. That was my desired result. So as a child, I practiced and practiced and practiced until I could do it, and when I could, then I looked down for the first time to see what was happening. So I can tell you to get this, practiced it when I was 11, still getting clapped for it at 39. All right. So I looked down and I saw that my foot was skipping. It wasn't sliding. It was playing one note in the middle of the pedal, and then it would leave the pedal to go to the top. So I was skipping up the pedal board. So I would call it a skip technique. But if I do this, there's no skip. It has to become a certain speed that it happens at. So I worked on doubles very hard. I worked on triples. I used a right hand lead paradiddle. So only the right hand side of the paradiddle, not the left, right, just right, left, right, right. I worked on that for hours and hours until my mom told me to stop. Then grouping was a 4, and then finally just consistent that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just desired result. And that's always been my technique for my student. You tell me what you want to do, I will expose you to the techniques that are available, and then let's see what happens. You know, telling you to do what I do, and then you walk up here and I'm like, damn, are those size 15 shoes? I'm like, I'm like, oh, then my technique will not work for you. So everyone's an individual. Just have a desired result, work your butt off to get there, and when you get there, look down. One last question.
Please. Sorry.
Someone said please, so you're up. Yeah.
One of the hardest rhythms, I think, to play is The Funky Drummer by Clive Stubblefield.
I totally agree.
Can you explain in your way how's the kind of way to do it?
No. Why would you do that to me? I came all the way to your country, you're just going to do that? That's insane, bro. I hope I don't see you in the autograph line at the vinyl booth. That's great. Why would you do that? That's Peter Erskine. No. You know, I was talking to, you guys know who Sput from Snarky Puppy is?
Yes.
So I was talking to Sput about that. We did a camp together in Ireland, and we were talking about the Funky Drummer, and he was saying how, I mean, it was just at the prime of Clive's, you know, drumming. Like, he struggles to play that now. That thing is moving, dude. And it's so quiet. So, I mean, I can tell you this. If you're going to go straight up 16ths, probably around bar 3, you'll have arthritis. That's it. It's not going to happen. You're going to go. So, you know, you definitely need to have some economic motion there with a little down up. But what's crazy is it's not like that Deftonesy down up, you know, it's not My Own Summer down up, it's like down here. So I can tell you right now, I've taught it and broken it down and just said, student, enjoy. I taught you all I can do, but no, I can't. I think that's one of those things where, that's like a Ringo Starr thing too, where people are like, it's so easy. I'm like, cool. Why don't you go ahead and just plop your butt down and rip some Beatles for me? And it's like, yeah, you can play the notes, but it doesn't feel right. You know, that feel, that's so just hard to capture. So in the Funky Drummer group, all I would say is work really hard on getting, you know, the economy of a down-up stroke, so that you're not doing down and then no noise for the up. That's 2 strokes for one sound, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You should have 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Every motion you make, you know, will allow for that groove to happen. Yeah, thanks for that being the last question. All right, guys. Just kidding. And I hope I do see you afterwards. I will give you a giant hug. All right, so I'm going to play a drum solo for you. If you guys don't know and don't follow me online, up until about 3 years ago, I was absolutely petrified of drum solos. because the music I grew up playing didn't have them. I grew up playing Rage Against the Corn Tones, and there was never a part where it was like drum solo. Like that never happened. So I just played beats all day. And so about 3 years ago, I was doing a clinic with the great Thomas Lang, and he said, tomorrow you will play a drum solo. And I was like, no, I don't think I will, Thomas. He said, no, you should. And I'm like, no, I really will not. Sure enough, he's very convincing, and his biceps are twice the size of mine. And he convinced me to do it, and I dropped my stick on the first note, and he was standing there like this, and you could just see his head go. And I was like, well, that didn't really help my confidence too much. So I worked really hard to think, if I can play a solo with confidence in front of people, then that doesn't matter, whatever. What matters is now that I can do it, I can teach it to other people. That's what the Mike's Lessons family is about. It's about bringing things that I've been through on my journey on the timeline and giving it to somebody else. I truly hope that all of you pass me on the timeline. I swear, teaching you is so much more important to me than playing these drums. So I really hope that anything that I go through, whether it be stage fright, or playing a drum solo, or creating tracks, or gaining independence, I want to pass it on to you. That is my high. The drumming is a hobby. The teaching is a passion. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.